Another day is gone, but you've been away. No matter where you are, and I'm feeling fine now. And if I didn't wanna be, and now that I am, then let me drop this car and put my love on you. What is up, everybody? It's another fun week to be alive. Dude, I have to say, I have seen some people that are on the right losing their ever-loving mind. Somebody tried to cap Trump again, failed at it. Don't know if it was staged or not. I don't like the idea that it happened. Political violence should always be condemned. Trump is still the better alternative to who we could have voted for, even though I'm not happy with what's going on. We'll talk about it more. Some people are happy with what's going on as far as wanting the whole thing to just completely collapse. I think that's stupid. I'll show you why I think that's stupid. But yeah, dude, how you guys doing? How are you doing? It's 2026. Gas is below in my town. It's like $3.92, $3.87, something like that. Way more expensive than I want it to be, but you know, I've just decided to ride my bike everywhere. It takes me 3 or 4 days to get places, but you know what I mean? At least I'm saving $17 a month. You know, and that's kind of just where I'm at with things. You know, I did the math one time. Because for the longest time I was like, oh, it justifies getting a new vehicle because then you could have way better gas mileage and you'll be saving so much money. Bro, you don't even save that much money with better gas mileage. You really don't. If you think about it, like, just do the math. Here, we'll do the math together, okay? You probably drive 12,000-ish miles a year, something like that, okay? If you drive 12,000 miles a year and gas is $4 a gallon for the whole year, and you have a car that gets 30 miles to the gallon and you have a car that gets 20 miles to the gallon, what's the cost difference throughout the year? Now, obviously, it's 33%, right? You get it. But I'm just trying to show you like what you're actually saving a year. $800 a year difference. So $66 a month for you to just keep driving a gas guzzler, or you can get something that's new and improved and has a bunch of sensors that go bad after 10 years anyway. You know what I mean? Just not worth doing. Just not worth doing, in my opinion. Okay. Now that we're finished with the math equation, welcome to the show, everybody. My wife's a math teacher, was a math teacher until I retired her and put her in the patriarchy, and now she just teaches all the children and me on occasion. So anyways, hope you guys are doing well. I got a bunch of clips to show you guys today. The first one I want to show you, though, is probably the most controversial, and it's Nick Fuentes. It's him saying that he's going to vote Democrat. And give me a second to pull this up. Just bear with me.
That's why I'm voting for the Democrats in 2026. I want to punish the Republicans. I want the Democrats to take the House. I'd like the Democrats to take the Senate. I'd like the Democrats to shut this administration down because this administration is not doing what we want it to do, and it's doing things that we don't want it to do.
Yeah, listen, I understand what he's saying as far as frustration, but like he goes on to say inside of that process, inside of his little pitch or whatever, that, you know, that we should vote for Democrats. That's crazy. Okay. Say what you want. Say what you want. Shout out Red Arrow. Say what you want. Okay. But that's freaking crazy. Okay. I'm not voting for a Democrat no matter what happens, because even though the country seems to be circling the toilet and there's poop all around us and nothing got way better like we thought it was going to. Okay. That's just true. Okay. I can't even argue with that. I'm frustrated too, but at least there's not rainbows everywhere. Okay, at least my kids don't have to report to some governmental entity about whether I misgendered them this month from my home. Okay, like, okay, yes, Palantir and super surveillance and all that different kind of stuff's coming in, but at least our borders on the southern border, at least right now, physically, is not being bombarded like it was. Maybe we're getting some migration in some other ways, and I'm not saying that the Republicans are 10 times better than the Democrats as far as what we're getting, but I think it's fair to say that it's maybe 15 to 22% better as far as how we're circling the drain. The ride down in the trip to laying in my casket was a little more me. Okay. the trip down to my casket feels a little bit more cozy when the Republicans are leading the train off of a cliff than it does when the Republicans who are just like, we will outright hate God, we outright hate freedom, we outright will take your guns, we'll surveil you all the time, and if you uttered a word against your female boss, you're fired and you'll be blacklisted with social credit score for the next 50 years. You know what I'm saying? It's just a little less gay. It's a little less gay to have the toilet being flushed on us from Republicans. So, no, I'm not going to be voting Democrat, and I'm not encouraging anybody else to vote Democrat. Am I disappointed right now with what Trump's doing? Yeah, a little bit for sure. I can't do it. I can't do it. Won't do it. Shan't do it. No thanks. I remember what it was like when people were telling us when they were censoring all of social media for forever during Biden's reign. I remember when the Biden regime basically, threatened, the FBI was threatening Facebook about things and how they did that, So anyway, no thanks. Can't go that far. Can't go that far. Won't go that far. Okay. Can't do that. Have you guys seen the tick populations exploding? Speaking of the government sucking, this is one that hits home for me because my wife has Lyme's and one of my daughters has Lyme's. Okay. And it was from a tick. And Lyme's is no joke, bro. Tons of autoimmune issues. Everybody pretends that they know exactly how to solve it. Some people do, some people don't. We're figuring it out. But it's been years, bro. And it's because of a tick. So I just want you guys to see this real quick. By the way, the whole CIA just released the documents or whatever. Alex Jones did a whole thing on it. How, yes, it was from the government. They did create it on Lime Island or whatever, Plum Island. And it happened in Lyme, Connecticut and blah, blah, blah. So the government made this shit. They also probably made alpha-gal, which makes you allergic to red meat. Okay, so the government's just always got their hands, and I just want to be left alone, bro. I want to be left alone. And I'll say this right now. If I ever get that alpha-gal thing where a tick bites you and then you're allergic to red meat, bro, there won't be me waiting for the Justice Department to enact justice for that. I personally I will run for office myself and get justice for the thing. If you know what I mean. That's what I'll do. I'll run for office myself and get justice for the thing. Okay? That's what'll happen because I love meat, bro. And my family loves meat. And what a crime to do to people. Okay? All right. Fighting off government bioweapons so you can enjoy nature. Bro. All right. So here's the next dude.
A lot warmer down here. I don't think it really freezes that much. And I was hiking and I felt something on my face. So I picked it and it was a tick and it scared me. And since then I've found over 20. Here's some more right here. Just trying to take off all my clothes.
What?
And then jump in this river. I know that's not really going to help, but it'll make me feel better. Yeah, different challenges, every day. Where'd he go? This guy right here is number 18. 28, 29 right here. Today I hiked.
Bruh. No way, dude. No freaking way, dude. Ticks are nasty, man, too. And you can't even you can pinch kill them, but you really got to have that thumbnail right in the thorax, right in between the head and the body. And you got to squeeze and pull at the same time. Dude, what kind of asshole? Imagine you're in government and you're just thinking to yourself, I'm going to make something that just ruins everybody's health. I'm going to let it get into them by a bug that you can't really get rid of. And we're just going to have it go everywhere. I think, if my understanding is correct, the reason they started this process is because they were thinking during the Cold War or something like that they wanted to be able to drop it on farming populations to make them so they were too lethargic to continue farming. So it would destroy the economy or whatever of whatever country we were trying to do biological warfare against. And instead, they just released it on the Americans. So thanks. Thanks, guys. Also, what the hell are you doing in the first place? What kind of asshole sits around and thinks, you know what? Instead of killing the people that are in the military trying to kill us, let's go after the civilians and just completely cripple them for generations. How's about no, bro? How's about we have a little decorum when it comes to war? All right, there used to be a thing called chivalry. where you were fighting a knight, the knight was fighting you, and if he lost his shield, you're like, all right, I'll take mine off too. We'll make it a fair thing. He loses his helmet. All right, I'll take my helmet off too. Now it's a fair thing again, okay? That used to be kind of the way things are. Now, you throwing ticks at people's farmers, and little 8, 9-year-old worker kids are just getting like too weak and frail to be able to finish this basket of cocoa beans, daddy. What the flip is wrong with people, bro? What is wrong with people? And you know what's even worse is when they start bragging about stuff like this, dude. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I did a video about this guy years ago, okay? It was years ago that I did this video, but I want you guys to see just this, the amount of an a-hole you have to be, you know, to do this is just, you'd have to be in the World Economic Forum or something like that, like levels of just unbelievableness. So just check this out.
So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption of meat, then they would it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Yeah, you know, some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way. So, you know, but so here's the thought, right? So it turns out that we know a lot about, we have these intolerance to, for example, I have milk intolerance. And some people are intolerant to crayfish. So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you will become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through human engineering.
Look at his freaky little face when he says this. We can actually, this is really exciting. We can make it so that your diet has to consist of what we want or else you get sick. Isn't this revolutionary? Wouldn't everybody like to have this? Oh, you struggle with wanting to help the planet in the way that my particular worldview thinks that you should want to help the planet, even though my particular worldview has been around for less than 50 years. But for 3,000, we know that people have been eating meat longer, right? And so we're just going to decide to change everybody's moralism and make them all bend to this one thing. By how? By forcing you to become allergic to freaking meat, bro? What asshole. What an asshole. Some people in life, children, they deserve an infinite swirly. You know them by the way they look, generally speaking. You can tell when someone just deserves a swirly. And it wasn't the swirlies that you saw given in grade school, okay? A lot of bullying's wrong because the person's just weaker. When bullying is correct, which there is a correct version of bullying. People call me fat all the time and I'm working out now because of it. Thank you, bullies. There is a correct form. And the truth of the matter is the person that really deserves to be bullied, and I'm in my zone, and that's when my eyes are closed. I'm in this tunnel of understanding, and I'm going to impart what I'm learning to you and what I'm feeling. The nerd, the person, this guy who deserves to be bullied is the person who is conniving to like undermine you so they can get ahead because they couldn't beat you in a fight. So like that person deserves, like, in grade school, not really. I'm not really talking about physical violence because that would be wrong. But they deserve a swirly. They deserve the swirly. They deserve it to the core of their being. And then they'd come up and they'd be like, I don't understand why we can't just make you allergic and then you'll stop eating all the food. I want you to stop. Double swirl. Sorry, buddy. Now, I've never given anybody a swirly. In case I look the bullying part, I'm not that guy. Before I met Jesus, I was a little bit of an a-hole, but I met Jesus pretty early, like 6th or 7th grade. So, and it changed everything about me. You can ask people from high school. I was an a-hole before that, got saved, and then I loved everybody and cared about everybody a lot, and I was still working through some things, but I never did any of that kind of bullying, like to that degree. Okay, but I'm just saying, there are certain types of bullying that make sense to me. And if you're messing with ticks on my property, you are in line, my friend. The last thing we want is the government involved with more stuff. Speaking of the government being involved with more stuff, speaking of that, you guys have probably heard of things called flock cameras. Have you? Have you heard of it? Well, let me tell you what they are and how it actually works. Okay, look at this. I want you guys just to see this story.
Nowhere, and immediately got behind me with the lights flashing.
There was no crime committed.
No, I don't have a warrant.
But Kyle Dosman is getting used to sitting in his car
I don't think this warrant has been on this car for very long.
and answering questions.
I continually am getting pulled over. I can't really use my truck in any fashion.
Kyle made sure his dash cam was recording yesterday after Cherry Hills Village police officers pulled him over near the same area Saturday.
Hello. Oh, we got you last week. Yeah. For the warrant.
I was driving through here yesterday, and I got pulled over again. It was actually by the same officer.
You need my license? No. Okay. I remember you, man. Okay.
The Cherry Hills Village police say the Gilpin County Sheriff has a warrant out with Kyle's plate, and it was put on a flock camera hot list.
Everywhere in the state, every time I pass a camera, they get alerts in their car that I'm in the area.
The flock cameras did alert to his license plate being associated to a warrant.
Cherry Hills Village Police Chief Jason Lyon says when anyone with a warrant passes one of their flock cameras, they get an alert. But that Kyle doesn't actually have a warrant.
Nobody should be stopped when there's no legitimate law enforcement purpose for that.
Kyle is
Wait. Let's rewind here. I just need you guys to understand what's happening. There is a data collection, live data collection camera system that monitors your license plates, and if you're in the area and you're wanted, they ding the sheriff's department. Do you know how crazy this can go so fast when they decide to lower the law at when you should be taken into custody? Do you know how fast this level of surveillance system can become tyrannical? Do you understand that the reason they want to decrease the population by the end of the situation here, I'm not talking about your local stupid government guy, your local sheriff that gets paid $68,000 a year. He doesn't have a clue. But from the tippity top, what they are trying to do is create a prison planet. And if there's less of you, then they need less prison guards. But the doors and the walls and the locks and all that stuff, they're not going to be able to physically shove you in a prison unless you're dumb enough to opt for the smart city and everything's 5 minutes from you, kind of like a prison. If you don't opt for that, then they are building the barricades and the doors and the turrets and everything around you right now. You're just too stupid to realize it. This is one of those mechanisms. And they're decreasing the population and they're doing this. You don't think I'm right? All right, let's watch another one. What is Ford up to lately?
No. Now imagine there was an emergency outside the truck, an accident, something terrible on the ranch with a chainsaw. And I jump in this truck, but the truck, it won't shift into drive. Why? Because the cameras and sensors inside this cab won't let it shift, because it detects my eyes are big, there's a lot of emotion, there's some panic, and it doesn't feel that I'm fit to drive. Now that's not science fiction, that is happening because Ford just filed the patents. Ford actually has a series of patents down at the U.S. Patent and Trade Office that deal with the sensors and cameras inside the cab of their truck. And if the sensors in that truck determine that you're not fit to drive, that truck will not actually shift from park to drive. Now, they already have a system called telematics, and that's where they can actually pull up cameras in real time inside the cab of their fleet vehicles. Now, they actually market this to insurance companies, because the truth is, this is really about who owns the data and who owns the liability. Now, your name might actually be on the title of this truck, and you may have paid for it, but you don't own it. Now, Ford didn't file just one patent. They filed a stack of them, all within months of each other. Are you sitting down? Get this. This Ford technology patent doesn't just watch you. This one puts you in jail. Ford filed a patent, serial number 0104469, where the system takes your biometric data, your face, your iris, and your fingerprint, and it runs it through a criminal database in real time. While you're sitting in your own truck, think about what that means. You wake up one morning. You walk out to your driveway, you climb into a vehicle with your name on the title, on property with your name on the deed. And before you go anywhere, before you've done a single thing wrong, your truck is already running your face through a law enforcement database. Ford's own patent language describes this as potentially useful for police. They wrote that. Ford wrote that into the patent application. So the question isn't whether this technology can be abused. Ford already told you who it's for.
Bro, imagine your car being your snitch. Imagine paying a monthly fee for someone to snitch you out to the police. Well, you shouldn't be doing anything illegal. Bro, they can make anything they want illegal. Do you understand that hate speech can be considered illegal, and hate speech is completely subjective? They can decide that if you criticize them, it's hate speech. And then imagine 2 months later, they go, well, we found the person, but we have no way to keep him there. Can you get the vehicle Ford to just auto lock its doors and roll up its windows quickly? Actually, yes, we can. Great. So you're renting your own potential prison cell until the police show up and put you away for good? No, actually, you don't need the police to show up at all. We can have the vehicle drive your sweet ass right to the prison. No thanks. Oh my God, bro. This is getting too much, dude. It's too much. Prison Planet won't go for it. Not happening. Nope. I'm going to keep joking it forever. You can throw me in jail if you want to, but I'll be making jokes and the guards will like me so much they let me out. Unless the guard is also a robot, in which case humor doesn't work, but I would try anyway. I would try to make it work. All right. Let me tell you one more thing about all these. What's happening in culture is super sad. Okay. And we're almost done. What's happening in culture is super sad. Men are becoming like females in more ways. You're seeing this guy Clavicular who thinks he's, who is able to get any woman that he wants, that he comes in contact with. He'll see a girl with their man and he'll be like, hey, why don't you come with me? I'll make your dreams come true. And the women will just straight up stupidly just walk away from their man and give up years of commitment from one guy because he's not a 9.6 in looks. He's a 7.8 and he's an up and coming career. But because Clavicular is further along and he's got people with cameras in front of him and they're live streaming to, tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people in some cases, these clout chasing, fame chasing hoes will basically just go after Clavicular and completely leave their man. And so there's this whole new category of loser men who are just following this guy's lead and be like, how do I look smacks? How do I take my cheekbones and then hit them with a hammer or a chisel to get them to become inflamed and calloused on the inside so the bone actually grows by a few percentage. And then I look slightly more like Brad Pitt. How do I do this? Now, if you're a chick, it makes sense that girls all do all kinds of things to become pretty. But bros, you're kind of gay if all you think about is how pretty you are. Has everybody forgotten this? Have you forgotten this? I think that's what lack of battle has done to a generation. Lack of battle has made men really appreciate their appearance more than they should. You know the reason I'm kind of fat? It's because I was made, the DNA passed down to me, right, was to be a Viking. And if someone shot me with an arrow in the gut, it can only go so far. It won't even hit vitals. See, I'm prepared for battle, everybody. These guys, you can hit them with an arrow and it will pass through every single organ. Okay. Now I'm just kidding halfway, but all I am saying is we really, really got a problem here. And then you have people like this, bro, where it's just suspicious, bro. It's just suspicious. Okay. And I just want to show you, if you're putting on makeup as a bro, we got a problem. We got a big old problem, and some mental health, I think, is starting to come into play with this as well. And you'll see. Look, this guy.
The zygo, and then go right under it, and you want to get down your face. Ooh.
Oh, he's drawing the makeup on. I can't play the music because it'll get whatevered. But bro, he's drawing the makeup on, and then he rubs it in so it's got more of a whatever, and then he puts even more makeup on his face in a second. Look, when you fluff your hair like that, don't you just seem gay? That's gayer than gay. I have friends, conservative aunt, shout out. I have friends that are less gay than this, that are gay. Look, you put makeup on. He's putting makeup on. And he's getting a massage from this sweet little girl behind him that just doesn't know that he's ripe for a Viking war, or he's ripe for somebody to just come along and beat the kaflafel out of him and then take the girls that he thinks he's claimed anyway, bro. I'm so ashamed. I'm so ashamed. I'm so ashamed of our culture. I'm so ashamed, dude. Looks maxing, bro. We need Jesus, bro. We need God to remind us of what our true value is. And then, like, look, I'm not saying it's a bad idea to try to look your best. That's a good idea. But this is beyond that. This is being completely obsessed with trying to look your best. And there's so much less comedy about people when you just always try to look your best, you know. And I'll give you I'll give you an example of exactly what I mean, okay, so that everybody can see what I mean. But you know, the truth of the matter is that this is just a shameful thing for anybody to see, and I'm just sad to even have a part of it happening. So here you go. All right, let me rewind this for you guys, okay? All right, here you go.
Going looking like Jeepers Creepers. Bye. Mama, Jeepers Creepers. Where'd you get that?
Dude, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope this encouraged you a little bit. I told you a little bit about what's going on. I told you what not to do. I told you be careful of the government. Pretty much everything you need to hear all in one, baby boop. Share this, click subscribe, do all the stuff, bro. Shout out Red Arrow. Shout out Patriot. Shout out everybody. God bless you guys. Keep running, keep going. We'll see you next week, baby. Mwah.